Ski and Shoot is a very unique extreme sports or winter sports game that was released for the PlayStation in 2009 and was developed and published by Crave Entertainment. And this game has a very different approach to the sport of skiing, where it mixes up both skiing and shooting. And this in itself has become quite a popular kind of like trend, and that mixes up various elements of the sport as kind of like an alternative. So the idea behind it is that you race on ski slopes against various different opponents, and you have to overcome different treacherous terrain, and you have to obviously then ski down slopes and so forth. But then you get to a certain point on the track that you're racing on, and then you have to stop, and you have like a rifle attached to your back, and then you have to get into a sniping position, and you have to hit a certain number of targets, and then you have to move around what's called like a parade lap. I know if you've hit all your targets, you don't have to do any additional laps, but if you've missed a target within the designated amount of shots that you have, then you have to do laps around this parade ring, and then that will add on to your time. So if you can happen to score points without missing any shots, you won't receive any penalties, which means you can continue on, and then there's a better chance of you gaining the better times to win the races. So that's pretty much the idea behind the game as such. Now you race on a multitude of different tracks, and they all have their own environmental elements to overcome, and then you also have the shooting mini games to deal with as you play. So you also have to deal with not only penalties that you get for missing shots, but you also have to deal with player fatigue, because as this is very, very intense, because you're skiing up and even trying to climb up hills, and you're skiing down hills, but you're also shooting as well, so your mental clarity does decline the more stress you put on your body, and which can result in you not being able to concentrate properly when you do come to the shooting sections. So that can affect your overall play style. So it's definitely a very unique concept that's never really been seen in a sports game before, and it is very realistic in terms of how it presents itself. But in saying that, the game, while it does have some really cool elements and some very different features that you wouldn't often see, it is difficult to understand really what's going on, and the controls themselves, especially back on the PS2, they do come across as being a little bit on the clunky side and not as responsive as you would like, as even when you're going down the slope, to try and get yourself into a position that you can start skiing and just gliding down the slope, sometimes it doesn't work straight away the way you would like it. You see all your opponents passing you and literally zipping past you, and you're trying to press the button. It'll prompt you on screen to get you to go into a stance so that you can ski down the hill, and for myself personally, I found a few times that it just didn't work, no matter how many times I pressed the button or whether you had to do it in a certain way. But after a few laps, then suddenly it started to work. So that can also lead to the frustration, because to complete a race in this game, it is very long. Like each one race could take you well over 20 minutes or longer, because you have to mix up different portions between doing laps, then you have to compete in the shooting sections, then if you have any penalties that you occur, if you miss any targets, you have to do more parade laps, which adds on to your time. Then you have to deal with the player fatigue as well, because your character does get tired, so it slows down your whole progress as you play. So it's one of those games, it mightn't be for everybody, and it does have a unique approach to it that you will have to understand. Now there is different modes and tutorials that will teach you exactly what it is that you need to do, but you just have to be mindful of certain elements, because there's a lot of necessities in this game that can make or break your progress as you play. But it's definitely a very unique and somewhat different approach, and it's very ambitious for what it's trying to do. And even with regards to reviews, it got mixed reviews within the magazines, but it was praised for its ideas and its concepts, but it just can be a little bit clunky and a bit fiddly in terms of its controls, and that's what lets it down. And the fact is that the races themselves, because of there's so many elements going on, can be a bit long in the tooth, if you will, because the races do go on for a very long time. But it is what it is. It does have some really nice graphics and even some really good atmospheric elements and sound effects, and that's what really adds to the game's aesthetic. It's a decent game for what it offers, but it will only appeal to a certain type of player. If it is something that you're into, and if you want to explore something that is very, very different, you can definitely give this game a look, as it does have some really, really cool ideas. But it's just the pacing of the game is quite slow, and it will take a while, and it will take a lot of patience to get used to the certain dynamics that's within the game. But I would love to know your thoughts on this game if you have played it yourself, and if so, what did you think of it overall? Do you enjoy the obscure nature of these type of games, or maybe not so much? I'd love to hear whatever stories you do have of this game if you have played it at all, so be sure to share it down in the comments below. And if you have enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell to be updated of future videos. And if you would like to see more videos of other unusual and obscure sports games that were also released on the PS2, you can check out the playlist on screen to see more of those games in action. And I will see you all in the next one.